Alright folks, and welcome back to the Don's channel. I am the Donfather and this is hashtag AFL Table Talk. I'm at the table. I'm going to be reviewing Fremantle Dockers versus West Coast Eagles. This is the first time I've ever covered the RAC Derby 50 between the two sides. Going into this, Fremantle were sitting 8th. They were off the back of a couple of losses, and West Coast were sitting 3rd, and they're very much finding a little bit of form now, and Nick Knack being back is absolutely enormous for them. And before the bounce up, it sits at 0-0. Well, that was the closest it was for Fremantle in this game at all, to tell you the truth. First quarter was their best quarter, and it was also the last time they'd done anything worth talking about. I do not know how to put any positives in for Fremantle here. They got 1 and 2, 1 goal, 2 behinds, 8 points to West Coast 17, 2 and 5. McCarthy got 1, and Jamie Cripps and Willie Rioli. Willie Rioli's goal was a great goal. Bit of team play between him and Flying Ryan, Liam Ryan, knocked it through, and he booted it towards goal, like a soccer type goal. And as they joked, Manchester United are coming to the Optus Stadium soon. Who needs them to come when you've got Willie Rioli doing things like that? So first quarter finished 8-17 to the West Coast Eagles, and from then on in, if you were a Fremantle Dockers fan, you'd be as well leaving this video now, because I'm not going to be the most good to you. Not so much the fans, I don't mean you, the fans did not deserve that level of performance they got from their team. I've watched a lot of footy over the last few months or so. Today was my 3rd live game straight in a row, and this was the 2nd derby in a row. Of course I was from the Adelaide one, and it was over a century in favour of Port Adelaide. And this one was no different. It was an absolute demolition. Only one side turned up, which is absolutely remarkable considering this is a derby. You would expect every ball to be contested, fighting for the jersey, for the fans that turned up for you. Yes, it was a wet day. You can have a little bit of excuses where you go, oh, we couldn't really get a hold of the ball. Well, the other team were playing in the same conditions. Why didn't you turn up? Nat Fyfe, non-existent, absolutely stunned at his performance. Walters, okay. Brad Hill was not there. One of my favourite players to watch has been Brad Hill, was not there today. Matera's kicking was appalling. I think he hit 4 behinds today, but I'll get through that. I'm going off on a rant. We'll break it down and I'll go through it anyway. Dockers fans, as I said, I can't go easy on your team. They were absolutely abysmal. I'm sure you're more angry than what I am, but I don't really want to slag the Dockers too much and take away from an absolutely outstanding, and I mean outstanding, West Coast Eagles performance today. So second quarter finished 13-67, 5 behinds the Dockers managed, no goals. Wow, Nick Knack, absolutely incredible. When that boy goes up, I mean, the centre clearances, he just drives forward. That one though, for the first goal, I think it was Cameron, he scooped it with his hand, ran through, charged through, and they've eventually got the ball forward and Cameron's finished off. The young man Cameron, I don't know how many games he's actually featured this season. I think that's either his 2nd or his 3rd, but he is definitely in for a shout for Rising Star of this year. He was fantastic today for such a young man, absolutely ruthless in front of goal, and his kicks were absolutely perfect. He kicked 3 this quarter, and a lot of credit in this quarter had to go to Nick Knack though. His centre clearances were everything today. He was big, he was powerful, he drove forward, he actually helped in terms of assisting as well. He was at the forefront of everything positive. I think he did about 15 in the first 2 quarters, 15 minutes, 18 in the 3rd quarter, I think maybe about 10 or 11 in the last quarter. And that was when the goals were being scored. When he was on the field of play, he literally drives everyone forward. He is literally the heartbeat of this football club. You can see what he's doing. He wins it and he drives you forward. He just plays in a fashion that I haven't seen anyone playing in since I've started watching AFL. He is without doubt, head and shoulders, the most influential midfield ruckman or whatever position it's called, I'm not too sure, but he is without doubt the most powerful, influential, important player I've seen. Like, he just creates everything, and I think a lot of it is down to his sheer presence and size. It's just frightening how high he can jump and get his hand up. Even when he missed it with one today, he managed to get the other hand up and win it. When he was going one-sided, he managed to get the other hand up and win it the centre clear. The guy's ridiculous. He's an absolute force. Maston got one, Darling got one, Tom Hickey got one, Jamie Cripps got one, and I missed the other goal scorer, and the West Coast Eagles never put it up on their Twitter page, so I couldn't actually get his name down, so apologies for that. My only note was Nick Nat dominating centre clearances. Half time 67-13. Third quarter, much of the same again, an absolute annihilation. The quarter was won again by the West Coast Eagles. Walters managed a goal. I'm really running out of anything that I can say for the Dockers, so apologies. They were just absolutely abysmal today. Jamie Cripps got 2, Cameron got 1, Darling got 1. They scored 12 goals in a row at this point before Walters got his goal. So that was how that panned out. 12 unanswered goals in a row before Walters stepped up and got one. And that really was against the run of play. Into the fourth quarter, 31, right? What was the final score? Do you know what the final score is? If not, 31-122. You have to go back to the first ever meeting to find a bigger gap between these two sides, where the game was won by 85 points. The first ever fixture between Fremantle and the West Coast Eagles. This one was a 91-point deficit, so make no mistake about it. This was one of the biggest going overs you're ever going to see in this derby. Absolutely. Men versus boys, that's all I can say. One team wanted it, and if there's anything you can, if the biggest thing you can say against a team, biggest thing that you should be annoyed about going away if you're the losing side is people saying they wanted it more. The truth of the matter is, the Dockers did not want it by it. They just did not want it, and that was evident throughout. They gave up. I think they gave up in the second quarter. Right, wait there. 31-122. 50 or 60 times they got into the forward 50. The Dockers managed 2 goals and 19 behinds. The kicking was absolutely ridiculous. Sometimes they never even made it to the sticks with the kicks. They were just so poor in front of goal. To 19-8. Shuey got 1, Darling got 2, Achie, he got 1, and Elliot Yo. 4 goals for Darling, overall 4 goals for Darling, 4 for Cameron, 4 for Cripps. Shuey was absolutely outstanding, as was Gaff, Nick Nat. Cameron, for a young man, brilliant in front of goal. Not one player am I going to mention for the Fremantle Dockers. I'm actually really disappointed in them, because they've been one of my favourite teams. I've been absolutely loving watching their games. I'm disappointed in the level of performance they put in. Every single player, to a man, has to go, should go home very upset with their own individual performance, and as a collective, just not good enough. This is a derby. I can't get my head around this. This is a derby. From what I've been building up to this week, watching the derbies have gone by between these two clubs, the passion and the commitment and the fight, the big hits, the big tackles, pulling out of nothing. Just, as I say, the most basic of things you expect from your team is to want it and play for the jersey, and they never done that, and they should be absolutely ashamed of themselves. But West Coast Eagles, absolutely frightening, playing in wet conditions. They were the away team today, not that it matters, they both share the stadium, but wow, they turned up. That's them second in the ladder now. With Geelong losing to the Bulldogs, anything can happen now. Could they become the premiers again? It's going to be hard to stop them with Nick Nat. That's 2 weeks out. That's 2 defeats in 3 weeks now for Geelong. They're going to be a little bit concerned that the West Coast Eagles have got Nick Nat back. Everybody to a man turned up for them today. I couldn't pick. I really am struggling to pick a man of the match. It would be between Shuey, Gaff and Nick Nat for me. And of course they were brilliant in front of goal. I want to give it to Nick Nat, but he did come off a few times just because he needs to get the minutes into his legs. He's still not at full fitness. He is my honorary man of the match, but I'm going to give it to Shuey. He tackled so much today. He was influential. He played off the shoulder of Nick Nat. He drove the team forward, but his tackles were vital. I'm not sure what they did in March because I couldn't get the stats up, so apologies for that. It was an absolutely outstanding performance by one team. I've said enough on the Dockers. I hope the Dockers can bounce back because, as I say, I really, really like the Dockers and I do like the way they play. They've got some amazing players. Today, it just wasn't good enough. And congratulations to West Coast Eagles. You now find yourself in a very, very good place in the ladder. Let's kick on now and see what you can do. Who knows? Back-to-back premiers. It could happen, guys. You're definitely on fire right now. Young players coming through look sensational here. Cameron is definitely one that could be tipped to be a star of the future. I love the way Ryan and Rioli play together. The two Indigenous players, the flair players, but they never really done much in the second half. Other players stepped up and controlled other parts of the game in the second half, but the two of them were enjoyable to watch as well. Flying Ryan, as I've nicknamed, is one of my favourite players to watch as well. He just creates things out of nothing. But Jamie Cripps, another young man, very, very good to watch. Overall, the better team won. Congratulations on the Derby victory. Derby, RAC Derby 50 goes to the West Coast Eagles. Congratulations. And a quick mention to the Bulldogs. Never seen your game, but absolutely outstanding. I've said all along they're a very dogged team, and pardon the pun, but that is what they are. They're an arm wrestling team. They drag you into an arm wrestle and they beat you with experience of it because they're in it all the time. They want to play the scrappy game. They want to play in the fighty game. Nullify the flair players of Geelong, I'd imagine. I've never seen the highlights. Stop Patrick Dangerfield and Gary Ablett Jr. and other players there that are dangerous in and around the forward 50. Get them into a scrappy game in the midfield and pin them back if you can. I think Naughton's shone today. He's another player I like. Naughton. Of course, they've got Marcus Bontempelli, who's another one that's good. There's a few players I really, really enjoy from the Bulldogs. And as I say, I'll look forward to watching their highlights. I don't think I'll do a reaction. I'll just watch the highlights. I've had enough footy today. That's 3 live games. My eyeballs are literally hanging out of my head. Thoroughly enjoyed today's games and yesterday's as well. Fantastic. Can't wait for tomorrow. Thanks again for tuning in to my reviews. This was hashtag AFL Table Talk. Get it trending, guys. Help the channel out. Check out in the description section below my social media platforms such as Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, etc. You know the score, and you can actually join us and support the channel financially, where we can help grow the channel and bring it to Australia and do some vlogs in Australia. That's patreon.com. You can become a patron and you can sponsor my mullet as well on Just Giving. That would be fantastic if you would be kind enough to do that. Thanks again, guys, for tuning in. I am the Donfather. I am getting out of the AFL today. I've AFL out my nut. Good luck and have a great rest of your weekend. Goodbye.